Good morning, everybody. Times again that we have to speak about the issue about undesired tenants or the seller that you encounter that the seller that not moving out. Timely matter. So eviction is a procedure with the court system that you can empower yourself to use it if you need it. It's a tool. Doesn't mean that you always can talk yourself out of the situation, but in any circumstances, if the other side, which is the negotiating fail, the legal proceeding must be enforced. Now, in California, the law requires any landlord to take over the property not by force, but by court of law. And the end result is the sheriff enforcing that court order, managing your tenants, escort them out of your property. Either you sell the property that encountered such a problem, or you managing this property that tenant refused to pay rent for different circumstances. Now I'd like to introduce you my PowerPoint here. We're starting with the notice, okay? Now the notice, in any legal proceeding, notice is necessary. So, I provide the template that you guys have, basically the form that provided for all circumstances, not all, but some of the circumstances the most encountered with, to legally notify the occupants in your properties. All right? Now, the first thing that we encounter, in general speaking, is people managing property and need to get the tenant out from the property, rental property we're speaking. You can give a 3-day notice, pay rent quick. And some of the cases that you guys selling the properties as the agent or seller agent or buyer agent encounters the difficulty for cooperation from the tenants, you can give them a perform quick notice accordingly. Now, the following one is called the notice to quit, which is trustee sale. For the last 10 years, the market was, the trends going through a lot this trustee sale procedure. That people bought the property on the auction. Purchase property in the auction is a sign. You guys have to know what you have to deal with. But the end result is rewarding. I guess many of the agent or broker has this kind of experience, taking client to look at the piece of property that up on the auction sales. If you do have such an experience, after you beat the price in the courthouse or the location indicated, next thing to do is to record your deed. They call it trustee deed. Now, here in California, when you purchase a property, in order to take action, a legal action against anybody in the property, you need to give them a title. So you have to have title before you can take action. So that's what the notice is all about. The proper notice will give them the proper warning what to do about it. In the regular sale, if the buyer desires to have the tenant move out, you either can give them 30-day basis or month-to-month agreement that they stay there for short term, or you can give them 60-day notice that they've been there for 12 months longer. So if the lease expires 12 months, generally you have to give them a 60-day notice anyway. So they call it 60-day notice termination tenancy. Now it's a long time though. For example, if you are selling the piece of property in escrow for 45 days, you're not going to catch up before you empty the place. if that's what the buyer wants. So you got to plan ahead what to deal with. Now, a lot of agents that I met approaches the tenant, so-called cash for key. It's not in this pamphlet here. It just simply go in there and say, hey, if you move out quickly, we can close out as quickly as possible. We give you money to move out next week, next day, next month, whatever time that agree upon. So that is another area that you can work with. If all offers fail, the legal notice is mandatory to give the tenants. Rather you sell the property or you sold it and the landlord needs to move in, it takes several months to get through that process. But any eviction process starting with a notice. All right, if you look at the pamphlet that I provided, you will see that the first one that was printed out here is a 3-day notice pay rent and quit. Basically, you have a contract with the tenants that you need them to pay rent and move out if they don't pay. 3 days, we're talking about 3 days. After the 3rd day, we can take action. Now the eviction is coming very slow. It takes about 2 to 3 months to be get into the end result. So plan ahead that you let your investor know what they expect. If the people who first bought a first property for a living, they have to dealing with this procedure. We know that closing escrow is the end of result that you guys get your commission. Now, for the buyer standpoint, if they want to buy the property for living to, into the property, and the seller was having tenant in there, you gotta plan many months ahead of time. Because of that, a lot of dispute after the fact that if no disclosure to the buyer that the tenant is in question not moving out timely. And people didn't expect that, oh, wow, after closing escrow, it takes another 3 months to get them out. That's a long time. So something that you got to plan ahead, what to do, work with the seller agent or buyer agent, for both sides understood that this is necessary to empty the place. The next notice that I'll follow up is a termination of tenancy, which is I talked about it. 30 days. Now if you have a room, a house that you run out a room for a roommate to stay there, and then you say, well, time for me to sell the property, I have to tell you to leave. For all means, you should give them the legal notice, 30-day notice, for short-term tenancy. Now people nowadays raising out an Airbnb tenancy and so forth. The Airbnb is not a long-term tenancy or short-term tenancy. They basically tenant overnight. They call lodging. If you rent out the tenant in Airbnb scenario, the following day after the rentals pay off, you can call the cop, call the police, they escort them out of your property. But however, here California have a very strict rule. Some city allow landlords to rent it out on an Airbnb basis. Just post in an Airbnb and bring them in. But the rule is that short term. The law says as soon as you engaging, when the party come into your property and you engaging a verbal contract by monthly basis, now you have to dealing with the evictions. For the last several years, we filed a lawsuit against Airbnb tenancy quite a bit because either the landlord make mistake, misunderstanding, or someone will cutting the commission from the Airbnb. When Airbnb transaction, they go through a website that the tenant pay the rent to them and credit card, and then they cut the fee and the money to go to you. Now they call it short term. And when you go Airbnb website, they advise you that do not let the people stay longer in certain days. In California, 30-day is a tenancy established, no matter what. Now, 30 days is a physical stay. If Airbnb tenants move into your property the next day and then pay only one night, and they say, you know what, I need another week. Can we not go through Airbnb process? Let's say I pay you. That's the signs that you establish tenancy right there. They call it verbal agreements. Now you have to dealing with notice, eviction, so and so forth, if they not comply or they not cooperate. For instance, the following day after the Airbnb rental is over, and they talk to you and say, I need another week, I'll pay you directly, that's the signs of a tenancy established. Next time you have a problem, you call the cop, they're not going to help you. The police coming to the scene, talk to you about it, okay? You do have an Airbnb tenancy. They only been here for a couple of nights. But the problem is, you engage a verbal contract with them. They talk to the other party, say, well, what you guys talk about? Oh yeah, I need more time after the Airbnb overnight stay. Now, the police officer will step back and tell you, this is the legal matter. It's no longer a dispute between the overnight tenant anymore. So now you have to give them proper notice. If you know how much rent that you rented to them per month, per week, per month, or per day, you can give them 3-day notice, just as we described. Or if they not owe you money, they keep paying you $35 every day or every week, your end result is 30-day notice to quit, which is this form was provided. Worse, if they stay over a year, of course. Now we're talking about 60-day notice. So that's the following page of the document that I provided, form. Now those forms is strictly mandatory by the court. There's certain language in the form that you shouldn't alter, or you shouldn't just make it up. A lot of the landlords did handwriting it and think that they can go to court and win the case. That's not so anymore. Unlawful detainer is a so strict rule that if you make a mistake, it's going to cost you a few months delay. You start all over again, time and money. So using the form that we provided, we thought that we have a most updated form, or you can go internet and get some form. But any mean, using the proper form. Now I see that some form that client bring it to me is 2009. Think about it, the law changed every instantly. Some of them every month. So the last one that I have, the form that I provided, is called the Notice of Termination of Tenancy in Section 8 tenancy. So Section 8 tenant has special treatment. When tenant and landlord engage in an agreement, and it not only between them, the state was involved. So a 3-way contract. State pays certain rent, the tenant pays the balance. Tiny little portion of it. Okay, I have seen some Section 8 tenant pay zero amount. All of them coming from the from state. So that form is useful. Okay. The following process is the topic that we want to talk about it a little bit more in depth, is how you serve the notice. How you serve the notice, everybody know? Today, when you walk out of this meeting, the only thing that you learn, if you want to serve your own notice, which is, this is how you serve it, legally and effectively. This entire thing that you should do. The rest of it, just let the lawyer take care of it. Our lawyer in the office will handle eviction and go to court to fight the case for you. But the notice, now, a lot of landlords prefer to serve their own notice, which is fine. So you have a conversation. Sometimes you go there and knock on the door and give the notice, mean you have a conversation with the tenant. So what the demeanor from the other side will reflect what the outcome of your action that you're going to take and what outcome going to be. So when you knock on the door and nobody answers, now either they're not home or they just ignore you. Okay? When you go at night to knock on the door, obviously somebody at home, but they notice that you are here to give certain paperwork, so they just ignore you. So first way to serving the notice, what they call a hand-delivered notice. Now, every notice has to be hand-delivered in landlord-tenant arena. Okay. When you say hand-delivered, it doesn't mean you deliver it by hand. Yes, you deliver it by hand, but you have to give to the tenants by hand. If you have John's name on it, John and Joe, you have to give John or Joe. You can't give them to Terry, Sally, or any other name. You have to give it to them. This is mandatory. When you give notice, the entire eviction process will challenge based on the proper service of the notice and the proper way to fill out the forms. Okay? Now the second way we call post and mail, which is I prefer. If you don't want to talk to them, I mean, when you give notice, generally you have some negotiation fail, so notice have to give. You knock on the door, they probably not answer your knock. Tap on the door, they call post. Tap on the door and mail a copy out. Now with smartphones so accessible, so what we suggest, you tap on the door, take two shots. One is close shot that the notice was taped. The other shot is a little bit distant away, see probably address. So you're not taping the wrong place. The court rarely, some people did, so figured out that. So now when you post and mail, that's the first step you should do it. Second step, you have to go to the office and certify. They don't cost certified, it costs certificate of mailing. Special form that the post office seldomly want to give to you. It's $1.35. They rather sell you a certified mail, which costs $5 or more. So every time you go to the counter, ask a certificate of mailing form, they instantly give you a certified mail, which is a different one. They can charge you more. Now I constantly tell a client, why is the mistake by certified mail? Did anybody know about it? The simple analogy is a certified mail, a lot of time, the post office is able to deliver. You go online, a week later, you check the post office website, tracking the service, never there. Not able to serve, and the end result, you don't sign back. The notice failed. Now, 3-day notice, you need to serve postmark on the same day, which is the following day, the post office have to drop off that particular mail in the address we indicated. That's the whole purpose. So certificate of mailing is nothing more than post office look at your mail and say this is sender, this deliver, and give you a stamp, say what day that you sent it out. And what the postman do, just like regular mail, you go in and drop it in the box. Regardless of tenant claim it that they receive it or not, they cannot overcome that the postman did not drop off the mail. What was the purpose of postmail? The old day we call nail in mail. They don't have a tape, so you put the nails on the wooden door. So nail in mail became a American idiom. We know all about it. You have to nail a copy, you have to tape a copy on the door, and mail a copy out. In case, the one that you tape on the door, in an apartment, some kid was walk by and just pulled in the notice out, the tenant say, I didn't get a tape you want. Well, then you are relying on the mailman to drop on a copy. Well, I didn't get the mailman too. That's not gonna fly. Okay. But remember, plaintiff have to prove the case in this scenario. Even though the tenant lied, you have to prove your case. So with post office receipt, you get away 90% of the time you will win. If the judge want to ask a picture, that's seldomly well. But you have to testify in front of the court that what day you was posting, what time. Okay. And the last one, so-called substitute service, number 3. It's complicated, possible. You knock on the door, the person refused to come to get it, but they send the kid to pick it up. The kid nowadays you can see 20, 18, 16. You can't tell the age, really, especially behind the screen door. So try not to serve the minor. We have some instances that managers serve the minor and the judge rule against us, dismiss our case after about a month and a half in front of the judge, and they were questioning the manager, how you serve that guy? Oh, I give it to Junior. Wow. Why you give Junior? You don't give it that. He's sitting on the couch and refused to come to pick it up, so he sent Junior to pick it up. So here you go. We lost the case. Technically, you did not give the notice to the dad. Instead, you give to the kids. So that's not good service. Now, the only time that you can give somebody and mail a copy at the same day is a substitute to adopt. So be careful on that. What's your name? That's what first thing you have to get the name. And sometimes they refuse to tell you. The second, you have to remember their look. So in case you go to court, you tell, I give so and so, he looks sporty. Okay? So be it. Next. The following PowerPoint that I show is very clear. The door that we tape the notice there, one of you guys won. Our client did a good job taping on the door, and they have the numbers on top. 485. And this, the right-hand side here, is the mailing certificate of mailing. That's the form that you need to use. Just flip. Now the next one, I want to tell you the top part is called certified mail. Do not use that one. Using certificate of mailing, the bottom one, which is the form that I provide. Okay, $1.35 plus a stamp. This is the right one, not the other one. So important that if the tenant have a lawyer, that will challenging you that the notice never delivered. You can go to a U.S. Post Office website and judge it. So, sometimes have that computer in front of you. Click, 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 and find out, yeah, you're right, never delivered. Why give them a chance? Do it right the first time, you know, you never have a problem. Okay. So anybody have a problem or question on that after this next one, what they call the lawsuit proceeding? I give you very briefly analysis on that. It's just a procedure that we run to the court. Okay? We file the case in the court, we serve the paper in the court, next thing, if the tenant answer. The answer coming in different form and shape. Let's say simplified answer the case. If they answer, the trial was set. After the pay was set in trial, the judge will rule the case. And the end result, the sheriff coming over to get him out. Now, it looks so simple, but a lot of technical, the background that we have the knowledge with, to work with, it takes us months or years to be expert. We have to dealing with the court clerk, we have to dealing with mistake, we have to dealing with the day and time and all that stuff. Now the other line that we kind of speeding up a little bit, you go to trial, the court set trial is about a month, so that's delayed. Without going trial, say they don't answer, we go default. which is our office, trained the people to prepare it. Mr. Brown, the attorney, signed the document, sent to the court, and get a stamp and a map. Now the end result is the same. The timeline is different. For this simplicity of description, either take 2 months or 3 months for one court appearance. All right? Justina, go ahead. So, any question that you might, this is when we filed the lawsuit, this form here that I prepared it, that the attorney was giving the instruction. Who can file a lawsuit? Who can have a right to file a lawsuit? We call the people entitled. Holding title has many ways. LLC, corporations, general partnership, as well as the limited liability company, LLC. So the person who in control signed the paper before we filed the case. Not the agent. I'm sorry. If your client wants to take action, you have to sign that paper. You can represent them in the court as a manager, as a helper, but you cannot sign that legal documents. Okay? Now, when you look at the next page, on this template that I provide you guys, Christina, go ahead, please. This is the itemized secure deposit. Most of the time, the landlord get in the dispute with tenant is the money that left behind. All tenants expect 100% refund. They give you a secure deposit, they want it back. All landlords try to cut it as zero, as much as you can. The tight rule you have to follow. This is the rule that you have to follow. No other way around. So, itemized report of the secure must be mailed out after tenant move out or being evicted or kicked out on that day. The following 21 days, you have to send a written report to them. And this is the form that you guys are going to use. Don't try to invent it. It's so simple. I mean, anything that you can itemize the money that they left behind with the landlord and write it down, that's what you want. The point number 2 is the owner could deduct and pay rent, which is if they move out 5 days later after you serve the notice, you charge them 5 days additional, that kind of thing. Except wear and tear. We're talking about damage, we're talking about cleanup, that's part of the deductions that you can make. All right? Now, the point number 3 is that a lot of time tenant can start dispute the charge. So what the code says is that you have to provide receipt. You have to provide a legitimate receipt, what it's called, by the licensed company, not necessarily licensed contractor, but licensed company. If you guys have a lawsuit and small claim against you for a secure deposit, that's the judge you want to see. You hire somebody on the Home Depot to do a paint job and you pay cash, that's not counted. And in our community, Chinese community, we're using so-called handyman. And handyman usually, they call it scribbling, the writing, what they did. That is not good enough. Okay? If you want to use that kind of receipt, you have to be very descriptive, not Chinese character that nobody can read. The secure deposit. The following page is telling you this is the code that I copied out from the law book. This is the exact code that how detailed the court will follow into this. When they sue you, you have a hurt. If you didn't do it timely on the right manner, you will lose the case and you have to pay for it. Christina, follow up on that page. Now, people ask me a lot, well, what the tenants like? When you agent want to sell the property to tenant for sale, when to look at property, you give a notice. It's called 24-hour notice, that which is I briefly described earlier, that the form is provided. One of the reasons on the 24-hour notice is that landlord have right to tell them to, when I would sell the house, I need to take a look at the house. So that's one of them. But follow that rule. You can't just walk there and tell them that I'm going to look at the property. So read it. If you have any information, give me a call. Just follow me. All right? So my phone number and my business card's there. After the meeting, welcome to talk to me. I'm going to stand behind a few minutes.